at y'all again with another Black Ops Bang Dog TV, where the first order of business is and always is building leaders and creating kings. Operation by building national development over generation. With that being said, the bottom line up front, just like the title would suggest, I want to talk about boys in the hood. And I mean that literally. Every morning you turn on the news, you hearing about different things that's going on with it. First it was, squeegee kids was a big topic of conversation. Then after the squeegee kids, now they want to call it like a teen crisis. I don't know exactly how they phrase it or how they put it, but it's more or less it's about our teenagers inside of these inner cities and things of that nature and how they're growing out of control. And I'm not one to necessarily go with any one narrative on my group of individuals because I know where it comes from. But what I want to stress to people is I want them to understand, one, our boys, they're out of control. I can agree to that. They're way, way out of control. But we act as if we don't understand, especially as men. We act as if we don't understand. This isn't to give them a pass for anything that they're doing. This isn't to make it seem as if it's okay or we understand why they're doing it. When I say we understand, it's not an understanding of what, well, it is to a certain degree, but it's not to condone what they're doing. I understand, but I cannot condone what they're doing. And the reason I say that I understand, and I know that's going to be controversial for some listening to this, the reason I say that I understand it is that as men, we were built and meant to be warriors. These young men were built and meant to be warriors. They got a warrior mentality. And if that's not something they're getting in their inner circle, their inner sanctuaries, their home, their families, they're going to go and look for it elsewhere. They're going to find it somewhere. It's a lot of pent-up energy. It's a lot of pent-up energy that they have to burn off because we were meant in some of our more primitive stages. Not even primitive, just as we developed as people. Men were meant to be warriors. And that don't mean that every man was meant to be warriors, but more often than not, we come from warriors. So I said, you say, Gunner, what you talking about, Tony? So what does that have to do with the crisis that's going on now? Because you take an individual, you take something from its natural state, a lion, from its natural state, you put him in the zoo, and then get mad or frustrated or want to put that lion down if they cause hell in that zoo because they're not comfortable. Or even whether they're comfortable or not, because eventually they become domesticated, but whether they're comfortable or not, you take them out of their natural state of being. And you want to force societal norms on them. You want to force norms on them and then wonder why it's a pushback or a certain rebellion or level of rebellion. Now, that's not to say so just let the kids run because this is a civilized society that we live in. They need to learn. This is the way that things is. This is the order. And that's true. 120% true. But it's a way to go about it. It's an approach toward it. It's an approach toward it. They still have a warrior mentality. They have something innate, something they feel, something within themselves that make them want to do some of these things. There's something they just gotta let out, and they don't have the outlets. They don't have the resources. They don't have the tutelage. They don't have the mentors. They don't have the individuals to show them how to let some of that pent up aggression out. So then you allow them, or we allow them to go in a group of like-minded individuals that's all lost, blind leading the blind, all lost, and they are setting the rules of engagement. They are setting the rules of how to become men, or what constitutes rough or tough or hard. They're setting the rules. And then when you do have adults that come in their life, you too far. We're too far in whatever it is we got going on in life that we forget about what they got going on in life, or forget to even challenge that. We just want them to follow the system. We want them to be able to follow the system. This is what they say you should do in school. Do what the teachers say, and that is that. Do what your mother, father, sister, brother, cousin do, and that is that. And listen, I come from an old school upbringing, so that is that. But who's going to reinforce that? That's the question for our boys in the hood. Who's going to reinforce that? Because the thing that they truly lacking is discipline. The thing that they truly lacking is discipline. Who's the individuals that's going to enforce that? Who's going to exploit the fact that they should be masculine, they should be hard, they should be rough, they should be tough, they should be warriors. They should be warriors. And show them the correct way to channel some of that aggression. The tip of the spear go where it's pointed. We gotta point these young men in the right direction. We gotta point our boys in the right direction so they know how to use that anger, that aggression, how to use it and why to use it. Give them morals and principles to stand on while still being able to utilize what comes natural to them. Protect, provide, preserve. Those should be 3 principles that every young man should lean on. Protect, provide, preserve. Those should be 3 principles that every young man should lean on. Protect, provide, preserve. I just said that 3 times and I want y'all to understand. And where are they going to get that from? They are going to get that from the men in our homes, the men in our communities that should step up. That should step up. But then the problem is, y'all go so far along in y'all life and whatever it is, y'all get so entangled into the things that you have going on that you fail to realize that it's a necessity for us to be in their life. It's imperative for us to be in their lives and show them they want to be rough, they want to be hard. These little boys, they out here cute. They don't know how to be like a real man. They don't know what it is to be a hard man. They don't know what it is to be. So they start looking for love in all the wrong places. They start looking for that they feel like they want, something that come natural to them. They start looking for it in individuals that feel the same thing, a whole bunch of testosterone built up, and they damn each other. They challenging each other to be harder, to be rougher, and they doing it without any true guidance from real men. But then we question, what do we do about our kids? What do we do about these young kids that's robbing women and taking and stealing cars and selling drugs and killing each other? What do we do? You show them a way. Well, let me pause real quick. Everybody can point out what they're doing. Everybody can point out what they're doing. Everybody can point out the faults of the family, the faults of the community, the faults and conditions of the neighborhood. Everybody can point out that, but then oftentimes those same everybody's don't necessarily take a deep dive within. What is it that you truly doing? If you truly want to change, if you truly want something to come about, and you want it to be different, you want to live in a different community, you want to feel something different, you love your community, then truly step outside of your own time zone, your own box, your own square, your own comfort zone, and give to these young men. Give to these young men. And since we're on the topic of boys in the hood, we're not just talking about the hood. We're also talking about fatherhood and manhood. Let's get to it. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Fatherhood and manhood and what it means to be. See, it's plenty ways to be a father. Some good, some bad, some, teetering on both sides. I can't make it seem as if I'm a professional, as if I can give advice on exactly how to be a father and things of that nature, but I do understand that as a man, you have a responsibility and a duty. And you stand on that. You stand on that. As a man, you have a responsibility and a duty. As a father, you have a responsibility and a duty. Protect, provide, preserve. The problem is, and before going too far into that, I do want to say that I see men. I see you. I see you fellas. I see y'all in the schools dropping off the kids. I see y'all at football practice dropping off the kids. I see or picking up the kids. I see y'all at various different events where you're picking up or dropping off and things of that nature. So I want to give honor, kudos, and great reverence to that. To say that a lot of these men aren't the same men of yesteryear with regard to fatherhood. There are a lot more men that's in their kids' lives, but it's levels to it, multiple levels to it. You got, I'm gonna just talk about 3 for the sake of this conversation with regard to fatherhood. You got guys that are reactive. You got guys that are proactive. You got guys that are active. And there's more, way more than that. You have fathers that are reactive, preactive, and active in their kids' lives. You say, God, what do you mean? Like, those are all things that we can all fall into any category and they can pile up. And you're absolutely right if you would say that or suggest that. But then let me give it a little bit clarity in terms of what I mean. You have individuals that, the preactive father, those are the ones that I see making sure that their kids show up to every football practice, every dance recital, every church event. They make sure that their kids are there. They make sure that their kids are there. They make sure that their kids are there on time. They make sure that their kids are picked up on time. They make sure that their kids have that opportunity to be involved in these multiple things, because they rest assured that as long as my child is able to be in these things, they won't necessarily fall short. You have them. Then you have the reactive individuals. The individuals that don't drop off or pick up. They show up at games. They show up at dance recitals. They show up at ballet practice. They show up at football games, basketball games, soccer games. They show up. And those are the ones that take the pictures. They want to, put their arm around their child and take the picture and say, I'm here. Those are the ones that for birthday events and things of that nature, they come around, they may pay for the food, they may pay for the entire event. And when they show up late more often than not. And and they claim the reason that they showed up late because they was taking care, and that's not to say that they wasn't. They may have been taking care of business strictly for that party, but they show up and then they want to take the pictures, and shortly afterwards they go about their business. Then you have the fathers that are active. The father that has a balance in between both of those roles, has a balance. The father that's making sure that he's there, he's getting his kids there on time. First, before getting them there on time, making sure that his kids are involved in these certain situations that's going to elevate their life. That's involved. A father that's fully involved. And outside of them extracurricular things, the father that don't just show up to the school to take pictures, but shows up when that kid is acting up in school just to show him, if you do wrong, it's going to be discipline, it's going to be consequences and repercussions behind your actions. A father that's able to explain to him the consequences and repercussions behind your actions, but not only empty threats. A father that demonstrates exactly what's going to happen if you do not follow my rules. A father that's actually able to be there to set a standard and a rule without being overruled by the mothers. Overruled by the mothers, the sisters, the brothers, the cousins, the uncles, or whoever else. And the only reason they're being overruled is because you truly aren't active. You want to show up when it's convenient. Which brings me back to the boys in the hood. Those are the 3 types of, not the ultimate 3 types, because there's multiple types of fatherhood and things of that nature. Those are just a few, 3 of many types of fatherhood, and that don't mean that they can't overlap. But bigger than all of that, taking that into consideration, ultimately think about the type, challenging us as men to think about the type of father that you are to your kids. What role you play in their life. What it is that you feel as if you want to get more from yourself before you can pour into your kids. I just said something. What is it that you feel that you could get more from yourself? What is it that you demand more of yourself? What is it that when you take time to reflect and think about who you are as a man, what more can you do for yourself that benefits your kids? And that brings me to my next point of hood. Manhood. What can we do better as men? That's the challenge. What can we do better as men? What areas can we do better as men? First is take time to reflect on who we are, where we are, and where we project ourselves to be in the near future. What future do you truly see? What future do you truly see for yourself? And when you see a future for yourself, what do you then in turn see that same future for your kids? Where you want them to be? Where you want them to be? Only way you can truly get them there is by you making sure that you take the necessary steps and to be greater, to be better. But then you can't be selfish, so selfish that you taking your steps, that you forget that your young man or your young lady, they're taking those same steps and they watch you with a watchful eye. Because one thing about that father that show up, pay for everything and take pictures. The kid love it right then and there because the child, they're able to stunt. They're able to stunt and show all their friends, I got this, and those are only material things. I promise you, without a shadow of a doubt, that those kids aren't truly going to remember any of that. If they remember it as is. And those are the same kids that end up growing up resenting. Not necessarily resenting. Let me take that back. They don't resent. That's next level. They don't resent. They don't respect that man, that father. They don't respect you. They grew up with their respect go as far as your bank account allows, as far as what you can do for them. They grow up and they realize, yeah, I have plenty of pictures with my father, and it looks good when you know, and over the family conversations, Thanksgiving and Christmas, or just whatever holidays at the family, it looks good when you're able to present those pictures and say, I was there. It do look good, and I want to give kudos to that because a lot of times a lot of guys wasn't there, but I dare not, or you dare not sit as if and feel like the mission is complete because you show up. Because you show up and you take the pictures. Because at the end, and you show up and you buy the tennis shoes, you buy all of the latest video games, and then you spoil them with those type of things. But I promise you, that's not what they're going to truly remember. What they're going to truly remember, what they yearn for, is the time spent. The time spent. And then you got your fathers that show up. They drop off early. They pick up early. They're very structured on how they do things. They're very structured on how they do things. They make it their business. They organize things so their families can be in certain positions, and that's wonderful. That's needed. That's necessary. We need that. But then you get mad when your son don't make that touchdown. Don't kick that field or that goal. Or your daughter, she didn't hit that note. She forgot the song. She can't quite make the melody. And I'm paying all of this money and she still hasn't done it. My question or my challenge to that is, what time have you put in with her? What time have you put in with her? What time have you put in with her? Yeah, you provide the resources, and that's admirable. But what time have you put in with her? What time have you put in with your son? You want your son to run a touchdown. What time have you truly put in? Pick up and drop off ain't enough. He want to see you there. Then you got your active daddies. You got the ones that's there. Pick up, drop off. Afterwards they talking to the coaches to see what it is that my son need to work on. My son need to work on. They talking to the teachers to see what is it that my daughter or my son need to work on. And then not only are they talking, they're going to parent-teachers meetings and things of that nature. They're showing up. When my son and my daughter, they act up in school, they're showing up. When their behavior isn't right, they're showing up. They're there, they're active. And I know sometimes our work takes over because this is how we provide. But you dare not just make that your challenge or your excuse that you feel like you can't take care of, or you can't Give your best, because guess what? Regardless of your work, these are your legacies. These are the things that you leave behind. Again, following certain morals and codes and ethics. Protect, provide, and preserve. Preserve your legacy. How do you do that? By being active. I challenge us to be active. And let's bring it back to the boys in the hood. If we want these young men to truly have an example of how to be men, how could we possibly do that if we ain't being men? And we damn near there. We on the cusp of greatness. But there's more that we got to do, because our young men are out there going off in the hoods. They're going off in the hoods. They don't have any big dogs to guide them. Too many fathers are cool. Too many fathers look just like them. You stepped up. You stepped up. I congratulate you on that. I give you honor and reverence to that. I said that already. You stepped up, but the thing is, you look just like your son. Yeah. You look just like your son, Dad. After you get off work or after you finish doing whatever it is you're doing. And that's not even to talk to the ones that's truly living just like their sons. But you look just like your son. You talk like him. You walk like him. You think like him. And a lot of times they would say, yeah, that's, he is daddy's son. But you just as young, you wearing a ski mask like your son. You got to start to develop your appearance of somebody of respect, somebody of authority to your son and your daughters. Somebody they can respect. It's not to say you're supposed to dress like your granddaddy. No, you can still throw that on. You can still get fresh. But you have to establish a level of dominance, a level of authority in these young men's life to show them exactly what the consequences are if they fall or deviate from the rules that you set. That's manhood. That's fatherhood to those boys in the hood. We'll continue this, but the biggest thing is building leaders and creating kings. It starts with us, King. It starts with us, man. If we want to see change in our communities, we got to step into our communities and be the change that we say that we want to see. Let's say that you are a good father. You clicking on all cylinders with regard to fatherhood. Then I challenge you to go back and step into the same hood that you came from. To join like-minded individuals so you dare not do it by yourself. And go reach the next young man. Go teach the next young man. Go bring up the next young man and show him what it's like to be a hard man. Because a lot of these guys, they rough. They grow up rough. They grow up rough in terms of they get into their little cliques and things of that nature. They get into their little cliques and they start challenging each other. But they not hard. A lot of guys that I come across, even in the work field, they not hard. These are men, grown men. When I look at them and I listen to a lot of the complaints, and if it's anybody know me, I hate complaining folk. I hate folk that complain about every condition that they're in. So what? And I mean that with everything in me. So what? God gave you everything you need. You got air to breathe, don't you? You got feet and hands. You got a mind to think, don't you? Use what you have to get what you want, where you are, and make changes along the way. That's how we're going to help these young men in the hood. That's how we're going to help these boys in the hood. But before we help these boys in the hood, we got to challenge ourselves to be men, challenge ourselves on manhood. And then even greater, we got to challenge ourselves on fatherhood. Live strong and die weak, do man shit. Ain't no pressure. Let that dog out.